welcome. This is Fashion, Arts and Media. And today with me is a lady all the way from Amsterdam. She is going to tell you a lot. You're going to love it. You're going to love her. Welcome. Please introduce yourself and tell us more about what you do.
Okay. Now, thank you for inviting me for this interview. My name is Melissa Muchaneta Vandira. I'm married to Mr. Budding. He's Dutch. We have 3 children together, and I've been in the Netherlands since 1994. Yeah, the time that we came to the Netherlands, I wasn't really willing to come to Netherlands. I didn't even know what was Netherlands, except what I had been learning in the history. So
yes.
So in Zimbabwe, for me, it was the country that I was born, that I grew up. Everything was I was surrounded with love. You know, my parents. In the 90s, everything was perfect in Zimbabwe. So as a child, you know nothing than what you have been provided by your parents. So I didn't have any reason for me to leave Africa or to leave Zimbabwe. So Netherlands was the first country to come because my brother came here for work, and we came together actually. Yeah, so I of course I ended up studying here, and I worked here, and I met my husband whilst we at school. Yeah, now we have 3 children together.
Amazing.
So, thank you. Yeah.
Amazing. So what do you do? Of course, I know what you do, but the viewers today are going to want to know what you do. So can you tell us?
Oh, yeah. I will just tell you a little bit of the history which led me to do what I'm doing today. Of course, I studied and I finished my school, and I started working for different companies in Rotterdam, in The Hague, some international companies and some Dutch companies too, because after some time I had to learn the language. Lucky enough, I wasn't forced to learn the language, so that made it much easier for me to understand the language, you know. So I speak fluent Dutch, and a lot of Dutch people sometimes get scared because of when they speak to me on the phone, and then I come into the office and they're like, "Was I with you on the phone?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, I thought it was a Dutch person." I said, "No, it's me, an African woman who speaks good Dutch." I'm always proud of saying that, because in Dutch we say, when you speak the language perfectly, you say under the knee, like you have the language under your knees.
Yes.
If I can literally translate it like that. So I will be telling people, "I kept the towel under the knee." So they will be laughing, like, we always joke about it. So anyway, after working for so many companies, and when we started having children, I became pregnant in 2007 with my husband. And whilst I was pregnant, I did a lot of research, reading a lot about being pregnant in Western countries. Why is it so different from as an African being in Western country? Why is it why are the products also different? Why is it that we are being called poor, yet I grew up in Africa? There's so many questions that I've been asking myself when I was pregnant. Our hormones will be so high, and it can be a crisis because you want to know too much, and sometimes you are even exaggerating and wanting to know. And for me, that's what happened. I was buying a lot of books, and between those books, I couldn't find a lot of information about breastfeeding and about caring of babies. Yet it's something that I grew up seeing. It's something that I even know that my mother breastfed my twin brothers that I helped carrying them. So I was like, why is it that then in Europe, there's not so much encouragement of breastfeeding of children? And I want to breastfeed my child, because those are the things that I really wanted to do whilst I was preparing the room for my baby. And I was like, okay, in Africa, we sleep in the same room mostly, and here you have to prepare. So there's so many things that were now contradicting with how I grew up, and culturally it was a cultural shock. So whilst I was searching for something to carry my baby, I only found something that looks like a pram, but at the same time you can just put your baby there, but it wasn't really looking comfortable. We took it anyway. That was the only thing that I found in the shop. But anyway, when the baby came, I told my husband, I need to stop working. because I don't know if I want my child to go to a creche. I don't even know anything about that. It's something that I'm not comfortable with, and I don't think I can go to work and start focusing on my work whilst my child is somewhere else. So we discussed about it with my husband, and financially we realized we could afford it. And I also had to give up a lot of things, of course, financially, so that I could take care of my child. And then on, I didn't know I was going to start Bereka, you know. But of course, the first day that in Netherlands, it's very normal that when you are pregnant, people give you either a present or you get yourself a prem, you know, a pushchair for the baby. And my husband is Dutch, so I didn't want to leave him behind when it comes to his culture, you know. So he wanted that thing, so we bought it. It was a second hand, and yeah, we lived in a sort of a flat. A flat is here in Netherlands is a place with stairs, you know, like, so we had to take 2 stairs to go to our home. So when we were in that house and I wanted to go out with the baby for the first time, my husband, we were both so enthusiastic with the baby. We were so caring. We wanted to know everything. But then we had to put the baby in that pram, because somehow, somewhere, you feel insecure because you don't see many people carrying babies at their back or even in front. You don't see that. So you're like, I only see mothers pushing their babies. So somehow you want to follow the society. We are humans. You do things that you see around. So that's the first moment that we put the baby in the pram. And I remember exactly that we were now going out of the door and I looked down the stairs. It felt like I was in a mountain. I just gave birth. And I was like, how am I going to go down there with this big, huge thing, but there's a little baby in it? I can't. I was like, I really can't do this. I told my husband, I can't do it. And he carried, of course, the thing down there himself. And I was like, so when you're going to work, how am I going to do it on my own? You see? So I even, at that moment, I felt like crying. Yeah, you know, when you just gave birth, you cry easier. It's like, I don't think I will manage to do this. And he was like, no, you'll be fine. And you can ask anyone to put that, to carry that thing down there. And knowing the Dutch people, yes, they are helpful, but not always. And most people work here. It's not like everybody is at home during the week. Most people are working for their mortgage, you know. So you'll be mostly alone, especially when you do not have family here. So well, my sister was there apparently, and she told me, Sisi Mucha, that's how we call each other. My name is Muchaneta. So Sisi Mucha, you know, you can try to carry the baby like we used to do back home. I said, I know that. That's why I bought that thing, and it doesn't look even comfortable to me. I don't know. So we had a you know, we call it you know, the African clothes, just like this. Yes, and I remember that I had that from my mother, and I used to just use it for strapping myself. So my sister helped me to put the baby at the back. She was very young, very small, little baby. Put there on the back, and it was the 3rd day that we wanted to go outside after having to carry that thing up and down. And I realized I really didn't feel comfortable. Yeah. So we carried the baby, and from that moment, I felt so good. I didn't feel the weight of the baby. I didn't feel anything. I felt that little baby, you know, breathing at my back. And that was my own baby. You know, I remember that exactly now from how I managed to carry my own little brothers when I was helping my mother when she got the twins. And that memory, it just, boom, it came back into my mind, and it felt so, normal. It felt just like usual, something that you always have been doing in your whole life. So from then on, I never put my baby down. Each time I wanted to go out there, or each time she started crying, so I was now putting the baby at the back, and I didn't even think about how do I do that, because I immediately knew, which already shows that the things that we learn when we are young, we never forget them. You just can start practice them at any time. So I told my husband, was like a bit nervous about it. He was like, are you sure the baby is not gonna fall? And you can't see that baby at the back, you know, you know. I'm like, I can feel her breathing. I feel her breathing. And he was like, okay. So he trusted me immediately because lucky enough, because it's not always like that. If you're married to a Dutch here, then you start practicing your African culture, then they will be like, we are told African culture is poor. So how can you start practicing it here? I don't think it's allowed. But anyway, he gave me the opportunity to do that. And yeah, of course, I started working with my baby out there. Yes, but of course, the first moment, a lot of people started, some were talking about it, some were coming to me. That's not a good idea what you're doing. Here it's not allowed. And people were like, that's not good for the legs of the baby. The way you're carrying the baby at your back, you can't see her. It's not safe. I don't know what the social services will think about this. You know, a lot of people would be saying a lot of things to me, but I still kept on doing it because my answer was to them, because that was the most important moment for me. Mm-hmm. I was like, I grew up in Africa. I walk properly. And remember, when you look at the football teams and when you see the great runners are from Ethiopia, from Kenya, they are world runners. They run because they have been carried. That's what I say to them. And I was like, I don't know why I'm saying this, but they have never been in a pram. They have been carried, those people.
That's right.
So maybe we should, so I was trying to tell people now, maybe we should think about, why are they the best runners in the world? Why are they the best footballers of the world? And why is it that we can dance much better than the other worlds? So, that's when all these ideas started coming up and, piling each other, and I started writing them down. That's how I started Bereka, actually, yes. And I started making comparisons of the Western people and African people, started making comparisons not only about the running, not only about football, but I started making comparison of the sexual intercourse. I started making the comparisons on especially the dancing thing. That's when I also came up with this in 2011, this program called Baby Carry Dance and Baby Carry Workout. Because if I may stand, I don't know if I can show you a little bit.
Yes, please.
When you are walking, carrying a baby, you have your pelvis like this. And we Africans, we move,
yes.
we move like this. And our body is built in such a way that after being carried, your body actually, let me just show you a little bit of it. This is just this is the pelvis.
Right.
Looking at the whole spine of a baby. Of course, it starts being a ball like this, but then after some time, it starts to go down there. The way pelvis, the way the spine is built, right?
Yes.
And there goes the pelvis, and this pelvis is meant to move. Is meant to be taken care of properly. So that's when we talk about that the movements that I was talking about. When you are walking, you are moving like this. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just walking. That's not even dancing. Yeah. So when you are carrying a baby,
that's right.
When we are not talking about carrying a baby in front, we are talking about the real African way, carrying your baby.
Carrying it back. Yes.
That's why you see that an African woman is formed in such a way that we have a bigger back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our back is a bit whole like this. It's not straight.
Right.
It's also because of carrying of a baby. When that baby is sitting there, your back is formed properly and it corrects itself. The pelvis is also being corrected and being massaged whilst you're carrying the baby at the back. So the chances are very low for you to have back pain, especially the lower back pain, because your spine is totally, yes. Those are the scientific reasons that I did the research on. And whilst you're walking, yes, going back to the walking, you're moving your pelvis, but at the same time, you're moving the pelvis of a child whilst they're still young.
Yes.
So when the pelvis of a child is moving whilst they're still a baby like that, it means the development is being done properly. That means the hip bone of the baby is growing properly. Yes.
Right.
So that hip bone that is growing properly is supposed to be moving.
Right.
The movements that are done are very important, are very crucial, which makes an African child be able to dance like this. And if you look at an European child, they'll be going like, you know what I mean? There's a difference between them. I mean, that's a fact. We cannot lie about that.
Right, it's true.
If you sleep with a European, you go to bed with an European, you are an African woman, you can move, you can do all the round shapes and stuff. And they'll be going like, bam, bam, you know. That's the second right. Fact. So there are a lot of things that I did as research and that I also have experienced, you know, and I've seen that there's so much improvement that needs to be done. Even to an African of today who has been colonized to become a westernized person. Why? Because we have been told that our African culture is wrong. Something is poor about it. So people were told that they are poorly minded. When you are told that, then you tend to leave behind the things that you have been properly doing and start doing the things that are actually wrong for your own body. That's why you see that the African mother of today is choosing to push a baby in a chair, and they feel then they're doing it properly, yet actually it's not the right way. So I'm here with Bereka to teach people to go back there and to really understand their human posture properly, and why caring of the baby is mostly the basics of all. So I also wanted to show a bit of where I was, just to add up to the information. If you look very well on this picture.
Yes.
I want to just share the other parts of why we as Africans, why we are able to carry something with our head. Yeah.
And balance it.
Yes, and we can do even dancing and focus, and we have the balance. That balance it comes because when you are carrying a baby, it's just a guide of how you properly protect the neck of a baby.
Right.
When a baby is carried, they tend to become curious when they're at your back. You are not the one controlling them with your eyes in front, but they are at your back. They develop earlier and quicker because they are now creating their own world out there, seeing people turning around their back, their neck, looking the other side, and you know, which is different from when you have your new baby and you are putting them in a bed, and then the nurse is telling you, after some time, turn their neck. After some time, turn their neck. And how many times do you forget that when your child is just lying in a pram? Your child tends to lie down at one place for a very long time, and you'll be going with that pram up and down, doing your own stuff. You are not thinking about it. You have to be conscious about it, but you can't because you are a human. Yet, if you are doing the same things that you can be doing whilst you're pushing a baby, carrying your baby there at the back, the neck of a baby is becoming stronger automatically without having to manually turn the neck. So which makes the neck of an African or a human who has been carried much stronger and create the balance for your own development as a human being. So that's why we can even carry water or anything at our head.
While carrying the baby at the back.
Yes. Even whilst carrying a baby at your back, yes. Because you are very conscious about it, because you are now very protective about it at the same time, but your neck muscles are strong enough to be able to do that. I have tried that while I was teaching, and if I have European people trying to carry something at their back, they'll be like, they are always so scared that thing is going to fall. But I'm seeing also a new African parent doing the same thing. They're like, oh, how do you manage to carry that? It's all because we are now scattered everywhere. We have been following the Western culture so much, and I can't say we have done the wrong thing. We thought that was the right thing that we were doing, but then I'm saying it's better to teach people to go back there and start seeing where did we go wrong?
Yes.
Because it's a very simple thing to do.
Wow, amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, so, I don't know if you have questions. I talk a lot.
Oh, no. You talking a lot is great. I'm just thinking about everything. I'm trying to analyze all you've said. It's amazing because I can tell you one thing. I'm one of those people who can't carry anything on my head. I'm probably older than you, but the fact that I've never really put something on my head to carry is just not a great thing because it's very African. I'm very African, but I've not done that. Now, carrying baby on the back is awesome. I've always carried my children on the back with just a cloth. I'll be walking down streets of Aberdeen. I live in Scotland with my baby on the back and people will laugh. But I don't really care because my baby is comfortable and I'm comfortable too.
Exactly,
but the Bereka, actually, even in Kenya, we also call carrying baby on the back Bereka, especially my tribe Kisi, we call it Bereka.
Nice.
So, again, we are Bantus, we are one.
The Bereka thing, you'll be wondering how I came up with that name. Because my sister just said, Bereka Mwana. Mwana is a baby,
yeah,
you know.
Same, we say that.
And then my husband, when I started the company, I was like, how am I going to give the... And then he said, I remember the first day when you carried the baby, your sister said, Bereka Mwana. And I said, yeah, Bereka, you know. And the whole idea, I've now managed to translate that name as well. The Bereka as the best is to carry, Yes. But at the same time is carrying a baby, carrying a society, and carrying each other.
Right.
So when you see about the things that I talk about how the society has become individualistic, how the families have grown apart, and how much or why is it so important for us to practice bonding. And the human bonding has become an important factor for people to be able to love again, for people to be able to understand each other, especially to practice empathy. So when you're practicing empathy, you are one person who is strong enough to understand that when someone is shouting at you back there, when they're shouting, that you are capable of hearing their words behind the shouting. You are capable of hearing their message behind the angriness or behind the emotions that they are exposing at that moment. So that is empathy. And when a child has been carried, that child has been automatically been loved, which means whatever they are going to come across in the society, they can conquer that easier than a child who has never been carried. So when we talk about carrying, it's not only the practical part of saying, oh, so I have my hands free. You're actually doing a great job when you did very well when you carried the child, even when you are staying in a Western country. Thank you very much for doing that, because you did your children a great job.
Yes, exactly. My children can run. One of them used to play rugby. He's now stopped. Yeah, but he was so good. He could run so fast. You know, his work in the field was just to run with the ball. Anyway.
So is he tall like the Kenyans? Like, you know, you guys, we always look at you like you guys are so tall. I don't know if it's all Kenyans that are very tall.
He's not very tall. He's 5'11", which maybe is tall. Or but in Kenya we have tribes. Those tall ones are from the Nilotes. You know, they are not Bantu. Bantus are not very tall people. The Nilotes, either river Nilotes or the, how do we call them? The plain Nilotes. They can be really tall and very dark skinned. Those are the Nilotes.
Because they can even jump like so high.
And they can jump.
So I'm like,
those are the Maasais, the Kalenjins of Kenya. The Kalenjins are the ones that run, and those that jump are the Maasais.
Wow. Yes. I love Kenya very much, and I have little things from Kenya that I have.
Right.
I have a cupboard here with a few things that I find very important, especially
Right.
my fabric. I love fabric, and I have.
Oh my gosh, that's those are kikois.
Those are the kikois.
Wow.
Oh, I have a yeah. I used to have a picture. Oh yeah, I have it here. It used to be between the fabric of Kenyan people. You see,
those are the Maasais.
Yes,
those are the jumpers. They can really jump high, very high.
Yes, I love that very much because it's so fascinating how they are managing to they manage their posture. And I also got this from someone from Kenya.
The Kambins are from Kisii, where I come from.
Wow, that is so nice. Yes. And I love that because these are parents with the two children.
Family. Yes.
Yeah, this is just a bit, yeah.
Yes.
And at the same time, maybe something for you to know.
Those are kikois.
Kenya.
Yes, those are kikois. They come from the Maasai. Those people that jump, that's their dress.
Wow. So what I then did was, because I close to Bereka, when I was now looking for fabric to create Mbereko. Mbereko is now the product that I use to carry children. And that is a typical, I had to find a pattern that is global for Africa, all African countries. So I came up with one pattern that really suits all. And you know, in Africa, a lot of them, they make Mberekos using leather, skin of an animal. And of course, African people, they weave fabric. You know it already.
Yes.
And these are sort of blankets, the ones from Kenya. Yes. They look like a blanket.
Yes.
So why I'm so fascinated about fabric is in 2008, when I was busy with Bereka, I wanted to find African fabric to carry the babies. I couldn't find much, and somebody told me there is a company here in the Netherlands called, you know, I'm not going to say their name in this interview, but this company has taken the during slavery, I think in the 1800s, when the slavery then they took this idea of making the fabric, of course, and it ended up being in the Netherlands. Whilst they did that, I went there and I was seeing that it's a huge fabric, it's a huge industry that create fabric. And I was asking them a very simple question. Why are they called African fabric then when they're made in Europe?
Yes.
And these brothers were like, this is a very huge history. We are brothers who started this company in the 1800s and we are selling this fabric to Africans. And I was like, couldn't Africans sell it themselves? So those questions stayed there. And I still thought to myself, I will ever do something about it. And I'm now doing something about it because after I had bought a few fabrics from them, I also realized they have boutiques in Africa where they actually sell these fabrics too. Yeah, the fabric are not coming from Africa. They were coming from the Netherlands to Africa, which is very sad which means the small companies in Africa that are doing the weaving with the natural products, then they were no longer being useful, or even they couldn't sell their products, or maybe not even spread it among their own people, because then the machinerized ones and maybe painted by another form of paint than the natural product that we used in Africa was now it's done by the Dutch people.
Yeah, there was no sustainability.
Yes, so Bereka gave me the opportunity to do a research on why is it our fabric is here and not there, and why are we getting it here and not there. So in the end, I also came up. I'm coming back to Kenya. I traveled to Edinburgh. We call it Edinburgh, yeah. Yes. And I went to Chatham. That's in Scotland, on top of that mountain there. And I bought I also did ask the same question there. And I was like, at the moment, I have some Kenyan fabric.
Yes.
Why do they look alike with your fabric? Why
when you look at them, at a distance, they look alike. But when you look closely, they are not alike.
They are not. They are not. This is another material. This is
That's
another. Yeah, and this is a sort of form of a blanket. But it's now about the design. You know,
yes.
I did the research about designs. Why African people use the designs? Why we have our designs on products?
Yes.
They have a meaning. They have a meaning. They are drawn by other people. The people they make them because they are meant to represent a certain culture. They are representing a certain group of people and their practice. Right. You understand? So when you understand that, this is a bag of Bereka.
Oh, I was going to ask that.
Yes. So when you understand the meaning of these fabric, the meaning of the designs, then you go back to Africa, then you understand that it actually belongs to a certain group of people of African.
Yes. A tribe or a clan. Yes.
Yes, and some are meant for the chiefs, some are meant for the kings, some are meant for men, some are meant for marriages, and some are meant for they all mean something. So when you come then to Europe and you see something like that happening, and then you'll be wondering who started what and why is it then it's not benefiting who?
Exactly.
You understand?
Yes.
Yeah, and when you are conscious, you have been carried and you carry your babies, you develop your mind and you start thinking more and more and more and more, and you become very protective.
Right.
And you also become very defensive. At the same time, you want to have people become a big society together. You want people to understand each other as a globe, not separated. You want people to love each other. You want people Yes, and so my whole idea of this research is not to say no black power, or is not to say no this belongs to Africa and this belongs to there. The whole idea is when a Scottish is having a tartan in their hands, they should also understand that before colonization, these existed.
Exactly. I actually had a talk with during the Africa Day on 25th.
Yes.
With, an Irish, an Irish congregation. That's what I say to them. Tartan actually originated from Kenya, if you like, because the Maasais have been wearing this for a long time before.
You see, exactly.
Any of this started.
Exactly. So it's very, sometimes we are misunderstood when we talk about colonization, when we talk about slavery, when we talk about things that were ours are no longer ours and we want them back. We have every right to do that. We have every right to want to protect the things that are meant for our future generation, so that our future generation is all the possibility and the opportunity to teach the Western people, not the other way around only. It has to be a combined love, combined understanding, and combined respect for each other's culture. And that's where I stand for as Bereka, because Bereka means carrying each other, understanding each other, and carrying the whole society after carrying our babies, because that's where the whole life starts, you see.
Absolutely. So, we're going to take a break. Viewers, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Bereka. Thank you.